Well, I've certainly been burned by this in the past. It says it's a Sanyo, and by all outward appearances, it looks like it's actually a Sanyo. Well, it's definitely in a Sanyo box at least. But we'll play the game of what's in the box. One moment, please. All right, well, I have it unboxed, and it actually is a Sanyo. Unbelievable. DVD recorder, VCR. No identifying information on the front to speak of. No model numbers or anything. And looking up on top here, nope, no model numbers there. Let's flip it around back. And we'll see that this one is indeed a model number FWZV475F. All these companies like to use the Z and the V and the 4 and the either 2 or 75. So we've got the Magnavox that has the 427s and the 457s. They're just moving things around. This thing is not that old. June of 2016. Wow. That's only 7 years old. I did not realize they were still producing these units this recently. I thought they stopped in about 2005 or 6. Well, you learn something new every single day. All right, well, let's go ahead and start by getting the top off of this unit and power it on and see what it actually does. Incidentally, the customer did supply the original remote, which I very, very much appreciate, and he actually sent batteries, which I don't need. I have AA and AAA batteries. But nevertheless, I really, really appreciate it when someone follows through and they send something that you might actually need. Not like my last, what was that, a Sylvania, where I did not get the remote on that one. Okay, let's tear into this thing. Well, taking a look at this thing, it is the classic ZV427 from Magnavox, even though these are all manufactured by Funai, which was part of Funai Symphonic, under various names. Sanyo, I actually worked on a Funai, several, well, not several, but literally almost 100 Magnavox ZV427 or ZV457s, and a couple Sanyos. This one definitely being a Sanyo. Well, enough with that crap. Let's go ahead and power this thing on. Power has been applied, and I do see a clock display with dashes. Let's go ahead and hit the power button. I do get a solid power LED. So as usual, I'm going to go ahead and pop a tape in here that I really don't care about. And so what should happen is the tape should go in and then set down, and then it should pause for about 1 to 2/10 of a second. Then the cylinder should spin up, and then after the cylinder is spun up, the loading post should move. So typically, if you have a defective or oxidized mode select switch, I'm not going to say defective because they're all subject to oxidation until they've been serviced. So typically, if you have an oxidized mode select switch, what will happen is the tape will go in, it'll set down, and immediately these things will just keep going and going and going. It'll never start the cylinder because it's missing that pulse. And the mode select switch is what tells the microprocessor the state of the mechanism, where everything is. So it knows when it has completely, the tape is seated, and it can do its checks. It can look for take up and supply infrared light from the prism right here in the middle. Once it knows the tape is down, it'll initiate the loading sequence where it starts the cylinder and then begins to load the post via this motor right there. Okay, got that out of the way. So, tape going in, and like I said, it should come in, set down, pause, cylinder should start, and then it should begin to load. I've not tried this. This is live, first try. I've only plugged it in and powered it up while you guys were here. So here we go. That's perfect. Uh-oh, that's not perfect. It loads halfway, and then it's going to shut down. I'm going to power it on. It's probably going to unload again. It may or may not eat the tape, and it did not. And it should eject at this point. And it powered off. So power back on. and it will not power back on. So I'm going to remove power, reapply power, power this thing on. It's probably going to try to load, and yes. So I'm going to kill it right there while it's in the loading stage. And I want to see if there's excessive tension on the tape right here. There's quite a bit of tension. It is not releasing. See, if I release the tape, it continues to load. So there's definitely something going on in the mechanism, like a brake. So let's power this back on. And I haven't pressed any buttons yet, but it should know it's in dire straits. And I'll just go ahead and eject the tape at this point, and it does eject successfully. So a couple of things I'm concerned about is the brake. That brake is good. That one is not stuck. This one, it felt weird at first. Sometimes what happens is this tension band that wraps around it from lack of use will actually bond itself somewhat to the reel table. So I'm going to power it back on, and we'll just see if that made any difference. I don't think it will. I'm going to try to help it if it doesn't. Wow. Okay, so it's fully loaded at this point. And it does not want to play well. Wow, it doesn't even want to take up hardly. It's got a lot of tension, even with the back tension released. I can hear the tape groaning. So what is going on with this thing? So what I need to do is look. Oh, I don't think I have to look much farther at all. Interesting. Let me zoom in and show you this. Focus, please. Today. Thank you. So that white clip that's hanging off is supposed to go in that groove and be underneath, like that. And that's what engages and releases what's called the hard brake. So it's got basically the tension band acts as a soft brake, and this thing acts as a hard brake. During fast forward and rewind, when it reaches the end of the tape, this thing snaps back in position like that and just slams on the brakes. So now that we know that, sometimes just a good visual inspection is all that really needs to be done on these things. Let's go ahead and I'm going to zoom you in a bit closer than normal so you can see the entire mechanism. There we go. That looks good. Let's turn autofocus back off so it doesn't hunt. Okay, power is still on. Let's pop the tape in and see if we get different results. Place your bets, place your bets, place your bets. Look at that, it completely loaded. And it shows that it's playing. Once again, after 7 or 8 seconds, if it doesn't detect real rotation, it's going to shut down and eject the tape. And it shut down. And if I power this thing back on, it should eject the tape because it did not see real rotation. But at least we know it is working. We'll try it in fast forward. So stop. The threshold as far as the time goes in fast forward or rewind is much faster, normally only 3 or 4 seconds without real rotation, and it'll shut down. But because in fast forward and rewind sometimes the real rotations happen faster, the microprocessor will actually pick up the pulses. And it's still working, it's still playing with no shutdown. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up a monitor to this unit and make sure that I actually have good clean video, because sometimes if the video heads are dirty, it'll actually stop playing due to lack of signal. One moment while I get the monitor connected. Okay, here we go. A different tape that's not copyrighted is going in. And I just want to see if we get video on the screen. And it shows that it's playing. Go back to play. And it's got a serious tape guide alignment problem. And it's shut down. It's probably not going to let me do it again. So let's go ahead and address the rear rotation issue first. We'll go ahead. Whoops, my bad. Sorry, machine. Normally they click. What I did is I blocked this photo eye that goes over here, and that's what this little flap does. It tells the microprocessor a tape has been inserted, and it blocks a photo eye like that. This is the detector, the take-up detector right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the prism off and clean the emitter that lives right here and the detector that lives in that little hole. We'll go ahead and pull the gear off as well. And I know I've shown this before, but we'll do it as many times as necessary. Put your screws in your egg crate, or egg carton as it may be. So there the prism is completely up and out of the way. Be very careful with it, don't scratch it. Just will not transfer the light correctly if you scratch it. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this gear off, and this gear is what's responsible for intermittently blocking or allowing the light, and then blocking it and allowing it as the tape takes up. Okay, glass cleaner. Normally what I do is I just spray out a bit of glass cleaner onto my workbench, because it does have a, I'm not sure what the coating is, but it is coated. So it's not just like particle board or press board, something like that. Maybe it's Formica, I'm not sure. So what I need to do, I can go ahead and clean this one, no problem, but the size of the cotton swab will not fit through. So I'm going to remove some of the cotton. That should be good. And then I'm going to wet it. And what I did is I just kind of flung off the excess. So we'll clean the emitter. We'll clean the detector. And then this is the take-up detector diode on this side. You can barely see it over here. And then the supply detector diode is over here on this side. And they stand up off of the board. Remove some more. I'm going to wipe that off to dry it. Same thing on that one. And we'll dry off the supply detector and the take-up detector over here on this side. Once again, mounted on these two little circuit boards that kind of stand off of the board by probably 1.5 inches or so. Next, I'm just going to get a paper towel. Nothing special, just a regular paper towel. And I'm going to wet it. So you can see the damp spot, and I'm just going to clean basically the entire prism. I want to clean every surface of this because it's translucent, and what can happen is the light will actually become diffused through the dirt that's attached to this thing. And the first time I saw it, it's like, really? That's all it was? Cleaning the prism repaired this thing? I'd never seen this when these units were basically new. Only after I started repairing these on my channel here did I ever see it. Okay, nice and clean. Gear. Gear. There's the gear. So when the gear goes back on, so if you look at the profile of the shaft, it's got a tall point and a short point. Well, the short point goes down. I've never tried to put it on backwards. I wonder if it would work. It does engage, but I'm betting the prism hits it. Yes. So, good to know. make sure when you put these back on that the tall portion, which is this side, is facing up, and the short portion, which is that side, is facing down. It affects the centering of the gear, obviously. Now if I insert the prism and then try to rotate it, it rotates perfectly fine. Well, once again, you learn something new every day. Just torque that to snug, not much farther. One thing I noticed right off the bat is the tension arm is like really bent out of position. You want this thing to be basically as vertical as possible. Now these two guides, they are the angle guides, and they're what basically corrects the tape for the angle of the cylinder, the video heads, more than anything. So I think I've got this pretty doggone close. Prism's been cleaned, take up and supply, or re-rotation and supply, as well as the supply and take up photodiodes have all been cleaned. So let's power this thing back on. Capture device says it's still recording. Power has been applied to the unit, and we'll switch it over to the DVD mode, or sorry, the VCR mode. We'll insert a tape here, and I think it's still going to need some kind of a tape path alignment. Back tension looks good. Whoa, look at that. Once I got the back tension arm adjusted correctly, the tape is not crawling anymore. I think what was going on was because the back tension arm lives right there, and it was at some sort of an angle, and it was causing the tape to either creep up or creep down. I still need to touch it up just a little bit. You can actually see a little bit of slack on the top of the tape, which is acceptable. But if this back tension arm is at the correct angle, and I don't know if I can do it, just reaching in here blindly. If it's at the correct, see that? I need to tip it back just a little bit because the tape right here has lost all of its tension on the top when I did that. So I'll take care of that off camera. But anyhow, it is playing. Look at that. Working perfectly. That's me running the camera in 90, 91, 92 somewhere. We're in New Orleans, Louisiana. And it hasn't shut down. It has not shut down. So cleaning the prism and the photo diodes and the emitter, the infrared emitter, seem to have taken care of that problem. I'm not sure this thing's going to need a mode select switch cleaning. I think I'm probably just going to do a tape transport cleaning and a DVD optical cleaning and get this back to my customer that once again has been waiting way too long. And I do apologize to everybody who has items here that I have not gotten to. I'm trying to get caught up. Just once again, so much going on. I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. So yeah, that may be it. I'll probably show it after I do a DVD cleaning, and I will do a VHS to DVD transfer as customary on these units in the 1 hour mode, just to make sure it will do a DVD to VHS transfer. So after I clean it and get ready for that, you know what? Let's go ahead and clean the optical pickup. It's really easy. And there's a chance, especially on a Sanyo, if you're just searching for Sanyo, someone has not seen this happen. So I realize it is still playing, but I'm going to move it over here and get the DVD mechanism in view. And I'm going to stop and eject the tape. Okay, tape is out. And so a couple of things worthy of note. There's going to be a single screw on the back. Power has been removed right there. Do not forget to take that screw out. That holds in the HDMI connector. And it's going to be a bad day if you take that screw out of there. So go ahead and just unplug these two ribbon cables only on this side. Do not unplug the other side. and then just remove these. Those are grounding straps. They ground the frame of the unit, basically, to prevent RFI, EFI from either exiting the unit or intruding into the unit. So, oh shoot, you couldn't see that, did you? I'm sorry. So I took off this strap right here, which is just one plastic screw. Pay attention to these screws, incidentally. These two that go up in the front are machine thread, so they have a much finer thread. Maybe you can see it right there. A much finer thread than the ones that go into plastic. That's going to be plastic right there. Doggone it. Okay. Hopefully you can see it. That's going to be a plastic thread. I don't think there's one in that one. And that's going to be a plastic thread on that side. So be mindful where the screws go back in. Once you got this board opened up, there's a couple little tabs. I realize it's bright because of the auto exposure. Basically, you just push the tab in like that, and then this thing will release. Now, the optical pickup, I'm not pushing on any cables or anything. I'm just moving the plastic portion of it. And then I'm going to do a macro zoom. One moment, please. All right, well, there is the DVD optical pickup, which is the laser that reads and writes data. And I'm telling you what, this thing, it's pristine. Well, mainly because this unit's only like 7 years old. But I'm still going to go ahead and wipe it off, nevertheless. So I'm hoping I can get it a little bit cleaner than that. So, cotton swab. Need another cotton swab. Okay, regular cotton swab, moistened only with regular household glass cleaner, nothing with ammonia, because the lens is optically coated, and it will strip some of the coating off with each cleaning. So what I'm doing is I'm cleaning in a circular motion only, and I'm actually rotating the swab simultaneously. So basically it has a new surface every time it touches the lens, because it is plastic and it is fairly fragile. So very, very light downward pressure. Don't force it. Definitely do not force it. And from what I can see, it's definitely cleaner than when we started. So very happy with that. One thing you can do is take a can of compressed air after you've cleaned it and just give it a short burst, just to remove any dust. And then let's take a look at it. It's a little bit better than it was. Okay, zooming out. Hopefully I won't forget anything on this assembly like I normally do. The little tab goes in a slot right there on this unit. And then you want to make sure this is set. Oops, that's my bad. It goes underneath. Been doing these for how many years now? So you want to make sure that the little peg right there goes in that hole, and then this peg goes in that hole, and then just basically snap all four back into position, and the DVD mechanism has been serviced. Just the temptation to test some of these capacitors, even though this unit's only like 4 years old, or 7 years old, I'm sorry, is just overwhelming. Well, what the heck. Always, if you have one of these, clean your leads by just rotating it in case they become oxidized from setting. Zero the unit out. And we got a 330.6. I'm okay with that on the surface mount. A 47, 1.7, that's okay. 0.3, perfect. These fail. That cap right there. 3.7, just, I don't know, 5 more years. 0.5 ohms, good. I think this one's normally good. Either this one or the next one is normally high in my book. Yeah, 0.8, that one's stressed just a little bit, but I'm betting it's going to survive another 5 or 10 years. I've replaced a lot of those. 4.8, a little bit high. Hey, I'm making a video in here. Hello. 2 ohms on a 100. A little high in my book again. 1.8. This one's normally perfectly fine at 0.3 ohms. Oh dear, 2.1 ohms. On a 47, I'm okay with that. 0.3 on a 330, perfect. 0.4 on a 330, perfect. And you probably can't see what I'm doing, can you? Because I'm a dumb arse. I'm not a videographer by any means. Okay, here we go. Let's go back to here. So 0.26, perfectly fine on a 330. 0.38, okay on a 330. 0.29, perfectly fine. Normally I replace these. 2.8, not too terribly bad. And 3.1, little more in the bad category. And 3.7 on that one. Well, I think I will go ahead and let the customer know that a few of these caps did not test in the ballpark that I wanted them to test in, but they will probably be okay. And just, I'm going to do a record test just to make sure that it does record okay. If I can get this board to fall back into position here. There we go. And of course, like always, this is what I do. I forget to put that piece in right there every freaking time. Why is it? Every time I forget that piece. I guess I can stop the capture device at this point. Okay, now that that's done, look at that. Look what I have back, the alignment position right there. So remember, plastic screw and one of the static discharge goes right here. And then machine thread and machine thread. And another, I don't know what I call it, static discharge, but it helps ground the circuit board. Make sure these guys are snug. Okay, good. Ribbon cables. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, ribbon cables inserted. Short of a cleaning, which I'm not going to show you because I've showed it so many times, and people are like, you can't use cotton swabs to clean video heads, and it's like, well, I've only been doing it for 40 plus years now, so I'm going to take my chances. I think I've damaged 2 heads in that 40-year time with cotton swabs. That's a risk I'm willing to take out of literally hundreds and maybe even thousands of VCRs that I worked on from basically 1982 up until, well, now, obviously. Okay. Let's do a cleaning, and I'll do a DVD to VHS, or excuse me, a VHS to DVD transfer. And yeah, I'll come back when I start the transfer and then when I finish. Well, I was certainly hoping this being a later date unit that it did not have Suscon caps in the power supply, but I'm going to go ahead and replace that one problematic Suscon cap with a good quality electrolytic. Let me see, what do we have? We have Nichicon. So I'll go ahead and remove the Suscon cap and replace it with a good quality Nichicon 105 degrees Celsius power supply cap. And on the last video I did, somebody asked me, why don't you change all the caps? It's like, well, I think I've had one or two other cap failures out of literally hundreds of units that I've had failed 4700 main power supply filter caps. So yeah, let's go and change it to be safe. Alright, Suscon 85 degree cap out of here. And yeah, look at the date on that, 16/21. So it's the 21st week of 2016. Man, I still can't believe this thing was manufactured like not that long ago, basically. So let's get the chassis back up here and I'll show you something that I've found. A couple of things, actually. So there's where the power supply goes. And look at that screw. That screw does not go in there. And that's the wrong screw. It needs a longer screw, actually. That's one of the screws that goes to the front panel buttons up here. Because look at the length of the other three screws. How much longer they are. Well, we'll go ahead and put it in anyhow because I'm not tearing this whole thing apart. Now that one screw is what grounds the circuit board to the frame. You know, we'll just very, very lightly kiss it. There we go. Next, the DVD drive can go ahead and go back into place. And I don't know if anybody caught it on the way out, but this screw right here was missing. So I only have 3 screws for the DVD drive. The 4th one was missing. Okay, let's go ahead and give this thing a try. Make sure that the tape portion still plays after cleaning. Capture device in 3, 2, 1, capture. And it says it is recording. VHS tape. There it is. Power has been applied. And I forgot to plug in the ribbon cable. Because I'm a dumb arse. Sounds like me. Yep, that'll be on B-roll. It's not wireless. It's not Bluetooth power supply. Okay, here we go. Power has been applied. I do get a clock display. Power on. It says it is loading. Capture device is still running. Tape going in. Cylinder bearings are still noisy. Oh, we haven't checked the auto head cleaner yet. We need to check that. Play. There it is. Working perfectly. Do we have sound? I haven't checked sound. You guys may hear sound, but I don't. Yep, it does have sound. Let's check the auto head cleaner real quick, and then we'll do a record test. So the auto head cleaner is this little foam disc right here, and what I want to do is grab it and squeeze it and release it, and it should pop back into shape just like that. I'm going to let that one fly. It's probably going to be good for at least another 5 or 10 years before it begins to degrade, and it does actually do a little bit of good. Once again, tape going in, and it should autoplay. And it's working perfectly. Okay, next we're going to do a VHS to DVD transfer, and then we'll send this thing on its way. Okay, switching over to DVD mode. Drawer opening. Blank disc going in. And you can move it over so you guys can see it just a little bit better. So it should read the disc. And while it's doing that, I'll go ahead and pop the batteries in the customer's remote. It says it's loading. Hey, I'm trying to make a video here. Stop it. It did load. So I want to go to record mode. I really want to set this for the 1 hour mode, which is the highest quality, XP. And then we'll go into the setup, and I'll set the time and everything. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and hit the dubbing button. And here we go. VCR to DVD dubbing. And we'll check back in about an hour and make sure it successfully records 1 hour onto the blank DVD -R. Okay, so I show that I have 1 minute left on the DVD record from VHS. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause this until it gets finished. Okay, so now it says I have 0 minutes left on the DVD. That might be fairly accurate, I'm not sure. So it's been recording for 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 44 seconds right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause this until it finishes. Okay, there it finished playing right there. So it's going to write some valuable information to the disc at this point. Then it may or may not finalize this. I may have to do it manually. We'll find out. I'm going to speed this up. And look at that, it is finalizing the disc. Okay, and it shows that it did finish finalizing the disc with no errors whatsoever. So let's turn off this display. And I'm going to go ahead and open the drawer. I'll close the drawer and see if it can read the disc it just made. I'll take tape on here. And look at that, it does show a 1 a.m. recording. It's currently 2:10, so that's about right. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit the OK button on the remote, and it should begin playing back the disc that it copied from the VHS. And I have my volume down on my monitor. And yes, I do have audio. That is excellent. So I'm going to say this is a successful repair. Basically just needed the back tension or the hard brake reset for some unknown reason. Why it popped out, I've got no idea. But as we saw, some of the screws were out of place. Someone may have been into this, trying to do a bit of work on it, and they got the brake right there engaged inadvertently. But other than that, this thing is working perfectly. Remember, I did have to bend the back tension arm so that way the tape is not pulling to one side or another side. Anyhow, that said, I'm very happy with this unit. Let's go ahead and skip forward a few chapters and just make sure that it didn't just record the first part only. Looking good so far. Remember, this was a trip I took with my family, with my mom, her twin sister, and her husband back in 1992. Unfortunately, they've all succumbed to the effects of life. Unfortunately, remember, the number one leading cause of death is life. So keep that in your memory. But as far as I can tell, it's playing back perfectly. I love it. Quality is great for a dubbed copy of a VHS tape that was originally recorded on 8mm and then got dubbed over to VHS. So I'm going to end that. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember, you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the platform formerly known as Twitter or X at NorCal715. You can email me, norcal715videos@gmail.com. Unfortunately, at this moment, because I'm still trying to get caught up and I'm so hectic, that is not the best way to contact me at this moment. Please leave me a comment on one of the videos. I try to check the video comments when I can and try to respond appropriately. Remember, with your help, we can try to keep these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everyone, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Everyone have a great day. Bye-bye.